I have my personal 9 study hacks for you. And the first one is kind of what I already said before, but a little more precise. Invest your time wisely. In the beginning of the semester, I always went to all my subjects and went to the first 2 or 3 lectures. But after 2 or 3 lectures, when I had the feeling this is really a waste of my time, like I can't take in what the professor says, the way he presents it. Some were like really still old-fashioned. They had stuff on written on paper that they then wrote on the blackboard. And with those lectures, I just said after 3 of them, okay, this is not the way I study. So I will still schedule this time for the subject, but I will study by myself at home. This way I kept up with the topics and I was much more productive at home. I really remembered the stuff more well than some of my friends who still went to the lectures. But yeah, I didn't waste my time go to the lecture and then repeat it at home. I just decided this is not worth it. Some other lectures were worth it and I'm glad I went. So always decide, is this one worth it? Is this one not worth it? So spend your time wisely. My second hack is don't push yourself too much during exam time. Like I never studied more than maximum 8 hours a day, but usually more like 6 hours per day, even during exam time, because I just found I can't concentrate for 14 hours or something, and it's a waste of time to just sit on the desk and look at a sheet of paper if you can't concentrate anymore. I saw many other students study from dawn to twilight, not doing sports anymore, not eating healthy during exam time, just study. And often they did much worse than me in the exams, because I think they got mixed up with things, and even when they studied, they were not highly concentrated. So what I recommend you to do is have dedicated study times. Study 1 hour, then do a 20-minute break, study another hour, then do 1.5 hour break, go for a walk, eat a nice healthy lunch, and so on during the day. Don't beat yourself up too much. It's really important that you're relaxed. That's a better way to remember stuff, and that you repeat it a lot. And number 3 is you should have a plan. And you should make it in the beginning of the semester. Look at your subjects you want to write the exams. Try to get an overview, how big the subject is, how many topics, and plan accordingly your semester, when to study what, when will which exam come up, and dedicate a couple days before the exam just for that subject. So I never had the case that I had an exam coming up and I felt like, oh, I don't have enough time to study everything. I have to decline the exam again. I can't write it. I heard that a lot from other people, but I always scheduled my time. Even if I had 2 exams in one day, I scheduled my time so that I had enough space to study accordingly, and I never got really stressed about it. So the key here is, again, have a plan, start early, and just relax during exam time. Number 4, summarize and visualize. When studying, I almost never looked at the papers we got from the professor straight away. Of course, I read the papers, I read the scripts, and then I made my own summaries, usually written by hand in different colors, visualize them with pictures or diagrams or whatever helped me to memorize it. And already writing it down, summarizing it, was a great way for me to remember it. Of course, before you summarize, you should make sure that you understand the key concept of a subject. So for this, it was always helpful either to go to a lecture, or when you study by yourself at home, to go to the practices to discuss it with other students or with the tutor, things that you are not sure about. because when you write the summary, you should already have a basic understanding of the subject and then summarize the main concepts, and after that you can start learning. Number 5, don't get distracted. It's easy to say, maybe not so easy to do, but how I did it, like I said, I only studied like 6 or 7 hours maximum during exam time. Really the maximum was 8 at one period, but usually I try to have it 6 or 7 hours. And when I studied, I really studied this hour. Like I put a timer for 1 hour, and after the hour I could do something else. But for this hour I only studied. I didn't look at my phone. I did not drift off in my thoughts. I think a lot of people do that too. I really focused on the subject, and every time I realized my thoughts drift off, I got conscious about my thoughts. That's a really important thing. You need to be conscious about your thoughts, and when you realize they drift off to some daydreaming or a movie you watched or anything else, be sure to focus straight back to the subject. Read your summary papers, repeat and repeat, connect what you already know with the new topics. That's the way to really focus on one thing, concentrate and memorize it. And number 6, remember a list by a word built of the first letters. This sounds complicated. Let me try to explain it to you, because it helped me a lot to remember lists of advantages or disadvantages, or just any kind of list you had to know for exams. So when I had to remember stuff, for example, I'm an engineering management major, so I had to learn the lean principles and the lean 7 ways. An easy way to remember the 7 ways for me was the word Timwood. It's not really an object or anything, it was a name, but I always remember Timwood, and when somebody asks me which are the lean 7 ways, I still today know Timwood, and I can tell them T stands for time, I stands for inventory, M stands for motion, and so on and so on. So this way I only have to remember one word, Timwood, and I can be sure that I don't forget any of the 7 ways. Like I don't forget overproduction, overprocessing, because I know there's 2 O's in wood. And yeah, it's an easy hack, but it helped me a lot to learn lists. Number 7, do sports. I think this is a key for a healthy circulation of your blood, to get fresh air in your cells and just be able to concentrate when you do study. So I had a lot of other students in my class that said, well, during exam time I have no time to do sports. I need to study from morning till night, and then next day I do the same thing again. And I thought you're really not using your time well. Like I went running, I did a lot of sports during exam time, more than during the semester, because I needed this for my balance. And when I came back from sports, like from running, then that was the time where I was most concentrated, the 2 or 3 hours after sports. So I really think if I would have skipped the sport and stayed in the library or stayed studying at home the whole time, I wouldn't have been as concentrated and I couldn't have remembered as much stuff as I did this way. And if you do a sport like running, then you can even repeat stuff in your head while you're running. If you really don't want to maybe forget about everything for an hour, you can still use the running time also for remembering, and that is a good way to remember things while you're running. Your brain is really able to keep this new information in. Number 8, connect information with places. This was also a memorizing hack I learned from somebody, I can't remember from whom, but I found it quite useful. Like after I summarized everything in my study papers, I sometimes sat in front of like 50 papers from one subject, and now I had to memorize everything. So this can be quite overwhelming and maybe demotivate some people and where to start. So I learned it's a good way to separate your study papers into different topics and study always one topic in one place and then go to another place and study topic B in the next place. So you can do that in your own apartment, like I studied sometimes topic A on the sofa and topic B on the desk and topic C on the bed. Or you can just go out if the weather is nice, go in the park, study topic A always at this park bench and topic B under this tree and topic C at the river. Like, do this a couple times and you connect the places with the topic, and then in the exam, when the topic comes up, you can think back to the park bench and you also remember what was on the study papers that you read on this park bench. So try to connect places with like the new knowledge and it becomes easier to remember in a stress situation like an exam. Last but not least, always an important topic for me, eat healthy. Many students don't eat healthy, especially during exam time. They just make pasta with tomato sauce every day because they don't want to take the time to cook something healthy. They need to study, go back to their papers. It is so important to eat healthy. Like, nutrition has a big impact on us, not only on our health but also on our brain function, on our concentration, on our capabilities. If you have a balanced life, you do sports, you go out, you eat healthy, you're much more capable to take all the information in, to connect the dots and to do well on your exams. So I hope this list helped you and I wish you all the best for your exams and on your way. This was Kate from SaiSai Life. Bye bye.
Thank you for watching our video. If you like it, please subscribe us. And you could also check our activities on our website and Instagram. See you next time. So I have a question.
Yeah.
To become a top student is important? Or like, to get a high grade had an effect? Or
that's actually a good question. Of course, it depends on what kind of jobs you're looking into. If you want to go into strategy consulting, which I was looking at the time, it was an option for me. Like one of the big companies, for example, Bain, BCG, McKinsey, then you have to have top grades. They're looking at people with like grade point average of 1.3 or better. There's sometimes exceptions, but usually you have to be one of the top students to even be invited to an interview. Other companies, of course, it's an advantage. It's never a disadvantage to be a top student. I never heard of that. But other companies, like industry, they also pay a lot of attention to your internships and your experience you already earned during university. That's one thing I actually told you, Naoto, when you came to Germany. Internships are really important when you're looking for a job. They want to know like what kind of projects did you already do, what kind of technology did you work with, and not just what did you theoretically learn at university, but what did you apply and what did you already create and make. So yeah, it's always a combination of how you appear, how you can sell yourself, how your grades are, how your experiences, like it's always a package and then what you apply for. But it's definitely no disadvantage.